Welcome to Royal Daily Report, where we uncover the stories that others refuse to tell. I'm your host, and today's investigation goes deep into a family torn apart by fame, silence, and abandonment. What you're about to hear is the truth behind one of the most heartbreaking stories in modern royal history. This isn't comfortable, but it's necessary. Stay with us until the end. For years, this story stayed quiet. Not because there was nothing to say, but because some people still believed silence was the kinder option. That silence ended the moment Thomas Markle Jr. stared straight into the camera and said the words he had clearly been holding back for a very long time. The lowest of the low. That's what you are. This wasn't a reaction. This wasn't anger in the heat of the moment. This was the sound of someone who had finally reached a breaking point. Thomas Markle Jr. wasn't speaking as a commentator. He wasn't speaking as a critic. He was speaking as a son watching his father disappear while the world looked the other way. And this time, he made one thing very clear. He was done protecting a story that wasn't true. Here's the fact that changes everything. Thomas Markle Sr. is not gone. He didn't abandon his family. He didn't disappear. He didn't walk away. He's alive. And yet for 7 years, his daughter has treated him as if he no longer exists. No phone calls, no texts, no emails, no birthday cards, no check-ins, not even after he suffered a heart attack. 7 years of silence. Let that sink in. This isn't about being busy. This isn't about complicated schedules or distance or misunderstandings. This is complete, total absence. While Thomas Markle Sr. struggles with declining health in a small apartment overseas, he lives each day without hearing a single word from the daughter he raised, supported, and sacrificed everything for. And this is where the story stops being about fame or public image and becomes something much darker. Because silence like this doesn't happen by accident. Silence like this is a choice. If this story is already affecting you, make sure you subscribe to Royal Daily Report right now. We're bringing you the family stories that the mainstream media won't touch. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our investigations. Thomas Jr. described watching his father's health fade, not just physically, but emotionally. The man who once worked non-stop to provide opportunities now lives quietly dependent on others. While the world celebrates the daughter he helped build, and still nothing. No call to ask how he's doing. No message to say she cares. No acknowledgement at all. A father erased while still breathing. To understand how devastating this silence is, you have to understand what came before it. Because this wasn't a distant father. This wasn't a man who failed to show up. This was a father who invested everything emotionally, physically, and financially into his daughter's life. Thomas Markle Jr. revealed a number that stops most people cold. $750,000. That's how much their father spent raising Meghan from birth through adulthood. Not hypothetically, not symbolically, actually. Private schools from early childhood. Elite high school tuition. Full payment for Northwestern University, one of the most expensive schools in the country. Cars, clothes, living expenses, everything. When partial scholarship offers came in from other universities, they were turned down not because they weren't good enough, but because Meghan wanted Northwestern, and Northwestern came with a price tag that most families could never afford. So her father worked more, 60-hour weeks, 70-hour weeks, sometimes 80. He did it so she wouldn't have to struggle, so she wouldn't have to compromise, so she could have every door open in front of her. And it worked. Every advantage was given. Every opportunity was funded. Every step forward was supported. This wasn't a story of survival. It was a story of investment. And now, the man who made all of it possible can't even get a text message asking if he's okay. That's where this story truly begins. This investigation goes even deeper. Subscribe to Royal Daily Report and join thousands who depend on us for the truth behind the royal family's closed doors. While one version of family life was being presented to the world, another version was unfolding quietly, without cameras, without headlines, and without help. Thomas Markle Jr. became his father's caregiver. Not occasionally, not when it was convenient, every day. He brings hot, home-cooked meals, not frozen food, not quick takeout, but real meals because his father deserves that dignity. He makes sure medications are taken on time. He keeps the apartment clean and organized so nothing becomes a hazard. He installed shower bars throughout the bathroom to prevent falls. Non-slip mats anywhere water might collect. One misstep at that age could change everything. He even arranged therapeutic massages to help with his father's sciatica and chronic leg pain. Proper treatments designed to ease real suffering. And all of it costs money. Money Thomas Jr. doesn't have to spare. He admitted he's going broke trying to do the right thing. Caregiving isn't a side responsibility. It's his entire life now. He stays close in case something happens. He plans every day around his father's needs. And the hardest part isn't the physical work. It's the mental weight, the constant worry, the responsibility of knowing no one else is coming. The fear that if he slips even once, his father could be left completely vulnerable. While one sibling carries that burden, the other lives in a mansion, filming content about gratitude, togetherness, and family warmth. That contrast isn't subtle, it's devastating, and it sets the stage for what comes next. By this point, a pattern has already begun to form. But this is where it becomes impossible to ignore. For years, Meghan told a story about her grandmother, a story about devotion, caregiving, and honoring elders. She spoke as if she had been deeply involved, as if she had taken on the responsibility of being there when it mattered most. According to Thomas Markle Jr., that story simply wasn't true. For more than 2 years, he and his father made the drive every single weekend from Topanga Canyon to Glendale. Not once in a while, not when it was convenient. Every weekend, they spent full days with their grandmother in assisted living, not rushed visits, not polite drop-ins, real-time, long conversations, shared meals, presents. They took her to the places she loved. Hamburger, Hamlet, Mimi's Cafe, Mauso's Cantor's Deli. These weren't just outings. They were reminders that she still mattered, that she wasn't forgotten, that family hadn't disappeared. Thomas Jr. says that over those 2 years, he saw Meghan maybe 3 or 4 times. That was it. 3 or 4 appearances followed by a public claim of being the primary caregiver. That wasn't a misunderstanding. That wasn't a memory gap. That was someone taking credit for devotion they didn't give. And in that moment, Thomas Jr. says something shifted inside him. Because this wasn't just about neglect anymore, it was about rewriting reality and claiming someone else's sacrifice as your own. We're revealing details that will shock you. Make sure you're subscribed to Royal Daily Report so you don't miss any part of this investigation. So, what happened? What turns a daughter who had everything into someone who erases the people who gave it to her? Thomas Markle Jr. doesn't offer excuses. He doesn't soften his words, but he does point to moments where everything changed. College was one. Northwestern University wasn't just an education, it was exposure. New circles, new access. A life funded entirely by her father, but lived far beyond him. Then came Canada. Then came Suits. And with that role came independence, money of her own, connections of her own. Status she hadn't had before. That's when the shift became obvious. Once she didn't need her father anymore, something in her behavior changed. The gratitude faded. The closeness disappeared. Conversations became cold, then dismissive. At one point, Thomas Markle Sr. told his son the moment he knew it was over. "She talked down to me like I was nothing," he said. "Then I knew there was no use for my father anymore." That single sentence explains everything. Once the ladder had taken her as high as it could, it was kicked away. There is one claim that holds this entire story together. The moment Meghan told people she was an orphan, that she wished she had a family. With that one sentence, everything else became possible. It explained why no one reached out to help the Markles when global attention suddenly crashed down on them. It explained why there was no guidance, no protection, no support when their lives were turned upside down. Because as far as the world knew, they didn't exist. Thomas Jr. says this lie isolated the family completely. No calls, no direction, no assistance, nothing. It wasn't accidental. If the family had been acknowledged, the story wouldn't hold. Questions would be asked, backgrounds would surface, reality would complicate the narrative. So, the family had to disappear. Not because they were harmful, not because they were dangerous, but because they didn't fit the image. That wasn't just a lie told once. It was a foundation, and everything built on top of it depended on the people who knew the truth, staying silent. This is the kind of investigative reporting you won't find anywhere else. Subscribe to Royal Daily Report and stay ahead of the mainstream media on stories that matter. This is where the story stops being about the past, because time doesn't pause for anyone. Thomas Markle Sr. is aging. His health is declining. Each year takes something new from him. And while the world watches carefully edited images of warmth and family togetherness, He waits quietly, without contact, without acknowledgement, without closure. Thomas Markle Jr. is still there, still cooking meals, still checking medications, still installing safety bars, still arranging pain treatments, still carrying the emotional weight of knowing he's the last line between his father and complete neglect. And he's running out of money, running out of energy, but not running out of resolve. He made something clear when he spoke out. He's not going away. He's not backing down. And he's not letting this story disappear because silence has already stolen enough time. Every day without contact is a day that won't come back. A conversation that won't happen. A moment that can't be replaced. This isn't about fixing the past. It's about what happens next and whether the phone will ever ring. Because if it doesn't, then this story doesn't end with forgiveness. It ends with something far heavier, and Thomas Markle Jr. has made it clear. He intends to keep telling the truth until the very end. Thank you for watching this Royal Daily Report investigation. If you want to continue following this story and others like it, subscribe to Royal Daily Report now and turn on notifications. This has been Royal Daily Report, where we tell the stories that demand to be heard. The Markle family story is one of heartbreak, sacrifice, and silence, and it's far from over. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss our next investigation. Share this video with anyone who needs to know the truth. Until next time, this is Royal Daily Report, bringing you the real stories behind the headlines.